Hello, comment ça va? How are you doing today? As you know, we have this series that has been going on all year long where I give you practical tips that you need if you're planning to move to Paris. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to furnish your apartment if you happen to be moving to Paris. First things first, before we get into the exact places, let's go over just a few high-level things that you need to keep in mind. One, the thing that makes the difference between whether a company is a good place to purchase from or a bad place to purchase from is really what we like to call the après-vente or the after-sales experience. So when you're looking as to whether to purchase from a particular company, definitely look up the after-sales experience, and you can find it in that business's Google reviews. In France, Google reviews are huge. Businesses, hate them. Customers love them because that's where you really find out what the customer service is like with that particular company. Now here's the thing, even if a business does something, like let's say they have multiple locations around Paris, each location could have a different customer service experience, which is why it's super important to just go and look at the Google reviews specifically for the location that you're going to go to. And if they're bad, look at the Google reviews for another location because they just might be better. Second thing to keep in mind is you want to always pay for someone to do the delivery, to do the installation, all of that. And when you're paying for delivery, you want delivery to your particular room. So it's usually livraison à pièce or à la pièce. That basically means delivery straight to the room that you need it to be. Trust me on this, I made this mistake only once, and on something that it became a disaster. Always get the delivery. Don't think you can put it together yourself or assemble it yourself or anything like that. Just pay for the delivery. It's going to make the process much simpler and much easier for you. Additionally, and this is, I'm going to be frank, I probably shouldn't say this, but this is so true. Buy it on your American Express. Like if you have an American Express Platinum card, any large purchase that you make, anything from your kitchen to your bed, anything like that, put it on your American Express card, because if you have a problem after sales and you cannot get a solution, there is no pathway for dispute or anything like that if you paid for it through your French bank account. I am so glad that I paid for some things on my American Express, because then when I had issues, I I tried to work it out with the company and they were giving me the runaround. I just disputed it with American Express, and then that's how I was ultimately able to get my money back in some of these instances in lieu of with the business, because the businesses, if their after sales is bad, sometimes you don't, it's after sales, right? So you don't know until after you've purchased. And if you have a problem, it can become, you can just find yourself in this crazy runaround. And sometimes it's not that the after sales is bad, it's just the after sales might be good, but then they're referring you to the manager of your particular location where you bought something from, and that person is a jerk, for lack of a better term, and so they're not going to help you, and they're going to run you around. So as a result, this is why if you have an Amex Platinum, that is the way to pay for your large purchases, because then you can dispute if you have issues later on. One of the things about French businesses is that very often they put everything, well, not very often, they do. They put absolutely everything in their terms and conditions, and they expect you to read every single word of it. So the person you're talking to sometimes will either give you incomplete information or incorrect information, sometimes accidentally, sometimes because they're just too lazy to really confirm and verify. This is something that happens kind of a lot in France, is people will just throw something out to you. They'll just give you an answer, even if they don't really know, or they won't give you any update, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, until you're like, hey. So as a result, this is a very common thing. And then if you have a problem later on, you might say, well, look, you told me this, and their response is, oh no, well, sorry, if you had read page 575 of the terms and conditions, then you would know. And that, let me be clear, that is an expectation in their society, is that you're going to read every single word in every single page of the terms and conditions. That's why they often have you initial each and every page. It's to indicate that you read it. You really need to focus on reading the section on your right to retraction and, you know, using your phone to like take a photo and translate that. But also it's really useful if you just put things on your American Express, because then it becomes a dispute between American Express and the business and it no longer involves you. And I have one final thing to note before I get into the specifics. I was about to jump into them, then I remembered this. One thing final to note is that a lot of times I will say that I found stuff to be ridiculously expensive in France compared to how much it would cost in the US. Things like couches, beds, towels, ridiculously expensive in my opinion compared to what I could pay for those things in the US. So with that said, let's get into the specifics. Most beds sold in this country and their mattresses are ridiculously hard. And when I say ridiculously hard, I mean they are ridiculously hard because they don't have, in the US, it's relatively common, you know, we have the box spring and then we have the mattress. Not here. They don't do that. They just have the mattress. And that thing very often, a lot of people sleep on mattresses that are super thin and frankly just not that comfortable. And one of the number one things that I wanted when I moved into my new apartment was I wanted a super comfortable bed, a super comfortable mattress. My very first apartment in Paris, I actually moved my mattress from the US with me because I was like, oh, my mattress is so great. I want to have my mattress in box spring. Best decision I ever made, because I had absolutely no idea that when I got here and I was staying at that first apartment, it was furnished, I had no idea that the beds were as miserable as the beds are. So I was so happy that I had my American box spring and mattress, and then when I moved into this new apartment, the box spring actually would not fit up the steps, and so as a result, I had no choice but to get a new bed. I was searching particularly for a bed that was firm, but also still soft, right? So I wanted something that was comfortable, but I felt supported, and I ultimately ended up going with the brand Tediber. That brand, their after sales is exceptional. Like, exceptional, their after sales. And so is their delivery. I mean, the delivery was relatively fast. I think it was about a week, which is amazing in France. I have the bed, so I bought like the mattress, but then also, of course, the bed frame. And that had to be assembled, so I paid for the assembly as part of that because I'm not trying to assemble it. I'm so glad I did because it was super complicated. And then ultimately when it got here and arrived, it was just like, I was like, this is too small, and I ended up sizing up. So the way that the beds work, they go like 120, 140, 160, 180. Originally, I had paid for a bed that was, I believe, 160. 160, I would say, is about like a queen size bed. And the issue with that was that the support frame for the bed did not fit up the stairs. So when the delivery guy came with it, he was like, so sorry, you know, like it's not going up the steps. And so I basically was like, okay, well, what's the solution? He goes, either do 140 will get up your steps, or you can do 180 because it comes in, it folds in half, and so then that way it'll come up. So I was like, okay, fine. I called their after service. We talked about what happened. They were like, I was like, fine, I'll do the 140. They deliver the 140, you know, maybe a few days later. Y'all, that bed, a 140 is a full-size bed. You can't, it was so uncomfortable. It was so little. And after about a week of suffering to people on that little 140 mattress, I called those people back and was like, y'all need to come get this bed. I need to, I need the 180. And they were like, sounds good. They came, they sent somebody, again, took the full bed apart, took everything down, and delivered the 160 that day, put everything together or the 180, put everything together. A 180 is a king size. The reason also why I chose this brand is because they did have a frame. So a lot of the bed companies, they don't have the, you know, the slats, like the support, like slats to go underneath the mattress. a lot of them might just have that built into the bed or into the bed frame. And I have found that to be incredibly uncomfortable. Like, I've learned, you know, that it really does have to be like something completely separate. So this is why I really like this company, was because it had that separate support frame, and then the mattress goes on top of that, and then underneath it they have like the full like bed frame and everything like that. How much was the mattress? The 180 king size, I believe, came in around $2,000. We'll say that I just thought that was a lot of money, but I was very, very happy with the company, very, very happy with the service, and everything was lovely. So if you get an apartment, as I mentioned, it's unfurnished, you're going to have to completely add in everything in the kitchen, cabinets, and appliances. So to start off with appliances, the places where everybody gets them, you either go to Darty or Boulanger. That's it. That's where you buy them. Generally, most people, I think, buy them from Darty. Really, you just get on their websites and you start researching, you know, you research whatever it is that you want. And the thing is that you can really trust and rely on the reviews here, because people, that's all they have. Like, that's like, the French love to put reviews, and it's actually really helpful for you as the consumer. So Darty or Boulanger, that's just where you get your appliances. Make sure it includes the delivery, usually it does, and also installation, again, usually does. One of the key things to note is never let that delivery person leave without without like making sure that thing is fully installed and whatever else, because there are people I know who have been told, oh, you know, we'll come and we'll drop this off and we'll install it tomorrow. Do not let people leave. Like, be like, no, I paid for it to be installed today. I paid for it to be delivered. You deliver it up into my house and into the place. So, like, no, I'm not letting you go. You just have to be super insistent about those sorts of things. Next up, let's talk kitchen cabinets. Most people actually get their cabinets from Ikea. I did not want to get my cabinets from Ikea. I wanted something that was quality. For myself, I wanted quality. Like, I will just be frank in saying that for myself, I wanted a good quality kitchen. With that in mind, I will tell you who I used. The quality, 100%, excellent quality. The downside, the salesperson I had was a nice man, but he did not give me all the details. He ultimately ended up leaving before my kitchen installation and everything happened, and his manager was a jerk. And this is where I had to really step in with the, you know, credit card dispute process, because a lot of things happen. I will give you the name of where I got it because it is quality, and would I buy from them again? Yes, just not from that store. It's called Ixina. And last but not least, how much was my kitchen? My kitchen was 5,000 euros, probably about $5,000. It was just incredibly expensive in my view. The cabinets and stuff ended up being like 2,500, and that was for like 4. I think also like appliances, I think my refrigerator was like 700. I think that my washing machine was about 700 as well. And then my stove/oven was about 1,200, I believe, or 1,000 euros. Now, last but not least, let's talk general deco. So if you saw my apartment tour, and you would have seen kind of my living room, my kitchen, and my everything room. And you'll note that I mentioned that a lot of the pieces I bought were vintage. And that is simply because it is substantially cheaper to buy vintage than it is to buy new. So when it comes to the sofa, you gotta buy the sofa new, okay? Because the sofa can have bed bugs if you don't. And you don't want those things in your apartment. The sofa was something that I was very much like, the sofa, the chairs, these are the things that I gotta purchase new. The one thing that was the issue with that is that sofas in France are expensive. They are so expensive, and they're not even that great of quality. So a lot of the sofas, even like poor quality sofas, are gonna cost you around $2,500. And they're gonna be poor quality. Like truly, they're just not going to be that great. Another thing is that a lot of the style of the French sofa is very much practically like almost you're sitting on the floor. They really like these like really flat sofas that aren't elevated. They're very low on the ground. I personally cannot stand that style. It looks like it's kind of like a harem in your living room. And to me, at least, if you don't have a large enough living room, that sofa just looks weird in your space. It can look like dollhouse furniture. When it comes to sofas, there are a lot of big brands that French people purchase from. A lot of people like Caravane. Another place you can look for a sofa would be La Redoute. The reason why I like that site, and I did buy some things off of there, is because they have a bunch of different stuff from a bunch of different brands. Their after sales is meh, but I like the fact that you didn't have to go to 15 different stores and look at, you know, each store style of couches or dressers or whatever else. Instead, you could just kind of go to one online marketplace, and they always will deliver, you know, you into your house to the room of your choice. So it was also like delivery was always super easy as far as that online marketplace. Now, when it comes to getting like entertainment stuff, getting dressers, getting wardrobes, that sort of thing, a lot of that, some of the stuff in my apartment comes from Ikea. Like I have the Ikea Pax wardrobes, I have the Ikea dresser. It's fine, it's whatever, you know, it serves the purpose. However, one brand that I think is I think it's better than Ikea because it's easier to assemble and it's better quality, and this is what I have in my living room, is from a brand called Tylko. And Tylko makes all sorts of stuff, and you can really customize it. You can customize the color, you can customize the style, you can customize it to your particular needs. At the time when I first purchased, they didn't have wardrobes. I wish that they did, because their installation is so much easier than Ikea. It's not 50,000 nails or anything like that. Literally everything slides into place, and you can pay for them to install. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to get like the quality and whatnot that I think is kind of a level up. And also you're going to get that customization, which I think is going to be really, really helpful. Now, as far as just more general furniture, general decor, Maisons du Monde is a place where I would say the style is also kind of like bobo. I actually think a lot of the French design style is relatively bobo. So you don't know what I mean when I say bobo. I did a video where I talked about bobo parisienne. Definitely take a look at that, because bobo is bobo. So for example, Maisons du Monde, I would say, is a somewhat bobo place to get like kind of that type of style and design for your home and your apartment. And they sell furniture, but then they also just sell general decor like pillows and stuff like that. And I bought a few things from Maisons du Monde, like a few decor things. I haven't really bought their furniture, but I do like their decor. I think that it works in some respects. Another place for decor where I've bought some cute things is En Fil Indienne. This is actually where I've gotten all of my curtains. They are phenomenal quality and worth every penny. They're very expensive, but worth it. If you want like little bedding accessories, you know, other small home decor stuff, Le Monde Sauvage is another really great place for stuff like that. I also have a chair that I bought from the Socialite family. They sell decor, they also sell they also sell furniture as well. And then for things like kitchen napkins and that sort of thing, I have mine from Madura. I think it's a good brand, good quality, you know, kind of medium priced. And last but not least, when it comes to things like bedding and towels, you can't use your American towels in France, because American towels absolutely 100% have to be put in a dryer. If you do not put your American towels in a dryer, those things become stiff as a board, like so stiff. Just to take a step back, you have to remember that since you generally don't have a tumble dryer, you're going to dry everything hanging it on the drying rack. So as a result, you want it to come off the drying rack with some softness. So as a result, I use the brand Bonsoirs. I also have my linens from there. I'm planning to upgrade my linens, but they were not, again, soft linens after air drying. And last but not least, you can also get small home decor items from places like H&M Home or Zara Home. I wouldn't say to, expect, the best quality, but if you're looking for simple things like trays or cute little holiday, like seasonal decor, I think that those are great places to kind of get that sort of stuff from. If you're looking for plates, glasses, where possible, go vintage. Where possible with furniture, go vintage, because it's going to be exceptional quality and it's going to be way cheaper, as I've already noted, than anything that you're going to buy new. So with that said, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope it is helpful to you if you are moving to Paris and you're kind of in need of some of this more practical information. As I noted, definitely check out the description box. I've put the name of absolutely everything in the description box to make it much simpler for you to be able to follow, and then also kind of given some more tips and some more locations on things you just want to keep in mind when you are shopping in Paris and trying to furnish your first apartment. So take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!